How much is that?
54 million.
54 million.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
And I think apart from just having a team like that.
One thing I would say that culture moves with time.
Yeah.
Sometimes we get too programmed and think that the old culture must stay the same. No. Culture moves with time. So that's what I'm saying, that our young generation who are onto this generation now, they have a culture. You know, you might be a pastor. You switch on your Facebook, the first thing you see is a naked woman. Boom!
This is not just about entertainment. It's got nothing to do with anything, but generally growing, educating, and literally how to be the best version of yourself.
The old man doesn't want to go on retirement. He still want to be in the government office. Now, when that thing happens, it blocks the new generation with the new ideas, who are energetic, which is smart, which can see things to picture and roll. You see, so I've been in Botswana for over 30 years.
Yeah.
And I'm speaking from experience what I observe. We still got a lot of older people who are still in the office. I'm giving, for example, for instance, like BTV.
Yeah.
BTV have the best equipment ever.
Yeah.
The best equipment ever. But now the challenge is, for you coming from school, let me give somebody from Lincoln Queen. I was the first guy to put scar on the Air Force One.
Big up, basically.
I dressed the whole Eric Lanko, Ted Mine, DC, Ghetto Flavor, a lot of Ghetto. You know, all these guys, you can mention them.
Yeah.
From way back, Wizards of the Desert, that time. I've been in the industry of clothing for a long time.
Hey, you're mentioning
There's
names,
nobody
man.
who has...
There's
nobody who has ever been here that I've never dressed.
Yeah, except me.
When people I dress you. I dress you for free. You take stuff you don't pay me. Google. Dress the whole nation.
And we are back. What do you mean? What do you mean when you ask yourself when I say we are back? It's been a while. Creativity from conception. Getting people on this brown couch has been a nightmare. But yeah, finally we're doing it. And yeah, man, thank you so much to Seat Steakhouse, Brian Patlele, and Timeline Creations for putting this together. My name is Guguma Vuma. Welcome to Truth Be Told. We're shooting from the hip. You want to know what we've been doing wrong, how we've been surviving all these crazy times. And this is not just about entertainment. It's got nothing to do with anything, but generally growing, educating, and literally how to be the best version of yourself. Like I said, my name is Guguma Vuma. This is the first episode of Truth Be Told. And it was very important, very, very important to get a person who knows what Gabs and BW has been about, and it's not originally from Botswana, so that's the interesting part, comparing it to his original place, to growing up and being in W. I've known him for what, over 20 years? No, before I go there, let me introduce him. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Peter GUNZ.
Yeah. Thank you, brother.
Ah, man.
It's been wild, though.
It's been a long time. It's been a long time. Welcome to the Brown Couch. Truth Be Told is the name of the show.
Awesome.
We are shooting from the hip. We want to know how to better ourselves, what we've been doing wrong, how we can be the best versions of ourselves.
Yeah, I like that. It's my privilege for you to welcome on this stage and able to also express myself.
I've never seen GUNZ but you've always been a calm person.
Yeah, concerning this platform to talk about truth to be told.
Yeah.
I like that because a lot of things, some of us when we were growing up, we didn't have that time of learning from our first foundation of our brothers or sisters. I can say that we are the first generation of the city.
Yeah, but our generation at the same time, I feel the reason why we brought this whole podcast together is we didn't have the privilege, like you're saying, to learn from other people's mistakes. We had to make our mistakes. And I don't like using the word mistakes. I like using the word bad choices.
Yeah.
You know, a mistake is when you're trying to go to, say, for example, room 99.
Yeah.
And you end up in room 67.
Yeah.
And you walk in there and you see that this is not where I'm going, but you end up there anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
But a bad choice is where you know you are not supposed to be there, but you just
chose to be there.
Yeah.
Because I'm influenced from other friends.
Yeah.
And other things.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah.
You can get along with that. You can be carried away.
And we've seen a lot of that when growing up. I mean, it's over 20 years. I remember places like Legends, you know. Why are you gonna hide away from that one?
You know, the funny thing is, when we talk about Legends, during those times we play music, I go to the dance floor. I don't drink.
Yeah.
I don't smoke.
So you've never had a drop of alcohol?
I don't take any substance.
But you've always been hyper.
But the music, that is what I was addicted
Yeah,
to.
I remember that part.
It hyped me until I danced from the whole down to the next morning.
But, Guns, you'd stand in front of the mirror and dance alone. I've never seen you dance with opposite sex people. It were always you and Guns. Even the dance floor would be packed, but...
No, the reason is that because I dance with too much energy. And the sound and the music get into me. So I feel like when I dance with the second person or the third person, it's going to disturb the way I want to move and I want to dance.
And you just be a bit too much for them.
Too much energy. I might end up hurting the person.
Yeah.
So I like just to be in a little space and just do what I want to do, what I see in the video. Like Tupac or DMX style. Too much energy. Yeah.
But we're talking about... the Peter Guns then and the Peter Guns today. The reason again why we're sitting here is from those days as growing up. Now we're fathers, we're parents, we're you know, they didn't tell us that adulting is just a scam. You can feel the pain.
You know, it is so funny sometimes when I get home. I remember back in the days in school, I'll take some of my friends from school, you know, they like to have Ghana dish.
Yeah.
So my parents would be at work. Me, I just take them after school. I take them to the kitchen. I chop things. I make all kinds of food for them. We eat and we disappear from the house. We drink all the oros and everything. Then my mother used to tell me, what you are doing, don't worry. One day it
will happen to you.
Now that I have wife and kids and children, I can see the pain.
I pray every day. I remember the stress that I used to put my parents through. My mom said to me, I wish your children would be just like you. God, please, no. Can we not play with that one?
But they were right.
But
it's been happening.
Yeah. But everything that we went through, I think it was a learning curve.
Yeah.
And again, truth be told, is just generally, how would you advise your 21-year-old self, if at all you had a chance to say, you know, this is a 21-year-old Peter.
Yeah.
For you to be a better Peter in the future, what advice would you give to yourself now?
You know, one thing that I like as we speak, as we're speaking now, when you compare our time and the time of today, it's a different transformation.
Absolutely.
There's too much technology. They got access to phones. There's Facebook, there's Instagram, there's YouTube, there's all kinds of things to which it is be presented and available to them.
Yeah.
In our time, it was different. So we need to be able to adjust ourselves.
When you talk about the different aspect of when you talk about the cell phones, do you remember that back then when we operated with landlines?
Yes.
If I call you and you're not there, like we'd communicate that I'm going to call you at exactly 3 p.m.
Yeah.
3 p.m. You're waiting for the call. And, you know, I don't know if you did this, but when you are getting to know a person, especially of the opposite sex, you would spend hours and hours on the phone. When the phone bill comes, you are in trouble and you don't know how to get out of. But today, it's like you're saying, it's different.
Yeah, but that if you look at our time, like what you are saying in terms of phone calls, you know, when you even wanted to date a girl, it is kind of real because there's a work that you put effort to
even
reach,
writing music,
writing some kind of poetry to impress the chick, even from school. To end that chick to be your girlfriend.
Does that happen these days?
These days, these guys will tell
what happens? These days is when
these young boys they don't have time for that writing a letter. You know, the romantic part has disappeared completely.
Yeah.
So, like the question that you asked me is, how do you advise a boy at the age of 21?
Yeah. No, Peter Guns, generally you.
Yeah.
How things would have been different if you knew certain things that you're experiencing now.
Yeah. One of the things that I appreciate is that every child need to have a choice to make.
Yeah.
To me, it's almost just like a democracy. You choose which party you want to be affiliated, and whatever choices that you make comes with the consequences. So when a child is growing up, we cannot expect perfection.
Yeah.
Every child needs to go through a certain period of time to grow and to discover themselves. And as a child growing up, one thing that my father just taught me about example is that he set up his standard in his house.
Yeah.
And that standard is what we go by as children in the house.
Yeah.
So somehow it helps me. That's why maybe you find me that I used to go to club, I never used to drink,
Yeah.
I never used to smoke. But I didn't say that people were drinking or smoking were bad people.
But why didn't you give me that advice, guys? Yo,
No.
I think my 21-year-old self, I'll just tell myself, do not start drinking, chief.
But let me tell you something. That comes with the child himself. There were children that they come from a pastor's home, bishop home,
Yeah.
but they chose to be different.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying, that we need to just let our children experience things on their own. But you have to guide them and govern them to the principle.
Yeah.
The scripture said that the fear of God is the beginning of wisdom.
Yeah.
I'm glad that my parents taught me the fear of God.
Yeah.
So I think one of the things we hope for is to govern our children with the fear of God. Teach them principles, then they govern themselves.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And the reason why, again, we're sitting here on the brown couch is we'd like to change people's mindset. As much as the president has been going on with that one, with the mindset change, it's very, very important. At the end of every episode, I want a person who's viewing this podcast to say, listen, my glass is not half empty, but it's half full.
Yeah.
So if at all I was able to get it to this level, I can gun, no pun intended,
Yeah.
I can gun to have it full. So just motivation and encouragement of what I went through,
Yeah.
you don't need to go through.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example, Guns. Some people would say you have to go through certain things to learn them.
Yeah.
You know, make mistakes. I don't believe that.
Yeah.
Why would you say a 19-year-old girl should fall pregnant to learn that that's not a right thing?
Yeah.
Why don't we just go ahead and push to show those who are growing up that there are certain things that you don't need to go through, and this is how you can avoid them. And I won't lie. There are a lot of factors that push not only the youth.
Yeah.
I won't use the youth because youth, you're talking about, what is it, 14 to 35 years?
Yeah.
But you still have 40-year-olds who are struggling.
Yeah.
50-year-olds who are still
Who are
staying
still
with their
struggling.
parents,
Yeah.
who are still struggling.
Yeah.
How do we move away from all of those, whether it's in the entertainment industry, whether it's in sports, whether it's in business now? Because this day and age, it's not about your 8 to 5.
Yeah.
It's about your hustle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like one of the things that I like to point out is that each and every one of us have got a special gift, and each and every one of us, we are entitled to our own choices and mistakes to make.
Yeah.
We shouldn't try to program maybe our children to the way that we expect them to be. Okay, we can have expectation, but for them to, life is a transition.
Yeah.
You know, there's no perfect society. You understand what I'm saying? And for us to create a perfect society, they say charity begins at home. Meaning that for the child to come up proper in a society whereby they should not be influenced to do bad things, those who came before us has to set up an example. I give, for instance, like example, like when you grow up in a village, okay, you have your chief, you have your mother, you have your uncles, you know, even to dress with a half top naked to walk. It was woo. That tells you that there's something in the society, in the environmental, in the village, which influence the people to behave in a certain way because of the standard. So now, the challenge that we have, like I'm saying, that somehow we have lost certain value of our identity in terms of our culture.
As Africans, or just general? Because
As African.
I mean, you are from Ghana.
Yeah.
Our culture and your culture, how diverse are they?
One thing I would say that culture moves with time.
Yeah.
Sometimes we get too programmed and think that the old culture must stay the same. No, culture moves with time. So that's what I'm saying, that our young generation who are onto this generation now, they have a culture. And the part of the culture is the tools that they're using. The internet is very powerful influence on these young kids. You know, you might be a pastor. You switch on your Facebook, the first thing you see is a naked woman. Boom! You see?
Hey, talking about pastors.
No, I'm just not to give an example. You're already challenged.
Yeah,
you're a human being. You understand? So
those are some of the topics that we're going to talk about as the weeks go by. Yeah. You've got questions like, why is it that there are some instances where pastors are always caught up? Some pastors are caught up in certain circumstances that you don't expect them to be caught up in. Some topics we're going to talk about your gender and violence, gender, GBV, and we're going to talk about one aspect that we need to talk about again as we go during the weeks is, we're talking about the level of unemployment. I don't really want to focus on unemployment. I want to talk about the lack of money. Have you realized that there's some people who've gone out there and tried to make lemons? What's that saying? When life throws you lemons, make lemonade out of it. Even COVID. COVID brought people out of their comfort zone. But you saw some people going out to get sanitizers.
Making serious money.
So that they can.
I made money when even COVID was there. When there was no COVID. It happens.
So that's what I'm hoping we could talk about. Just so we shift things, so that you shouldn't complain about not having a job, but not having money. But if you don't have money, what are you going to do about it? In a legal platform. So anything that comes about, whether it's say your aunt is at home, she's got kids, she doesn't have a babysitter, but you're sitting home and you've got a huge of peanut butter and oros, because you're having them and no one is complaining about it. So if you're comfortable, you're not going to go out and try and do anything about it. Talking about business, you've been through a lot of incoming, strategies. Tell us about that.
One of the interesting things is I've always taught myself that I always want to be my boss. I don't want to work for anybody from young age. I've never been employed from the time that I was young. Never. I've never called anybody boss. I've always been my boss, but I've employed people to work for me.
Wow.
So one of the things that I see, especially when I was growing up, because I come from a family of business background. Because I school in Ghana from primary school. So my grandmother used to have a baby clothing store when I was young. And when I come back from school, like primary school, I'll go and sit at her shop and try to see how she does things. She'll be selling napkins and other pampers and stuff. So I was kind of equipped with the knowledge of selling, and seeing product which can move. So when I came to Botswana at a young age, around 14 years old.
You're around 14 when you came to BW?
Yeah, because my father was working in the Ministry of Agriculture. So the whole family was brought by the government of Botswana. So when I started my junior secondary school, I saw that there was also a loophole in terms of jewelry.
Jewelry,
like earrings for women, men, and stuff like.
Do you remember that I used to wear earrings?
I'm thinking, and that time it was still new.
I look at those pictures and like, hey,
it was still new in the city, so people didn't understand that. But you are one of the kind who set up that fashion very high. But me, I understood. No, this man is different. For him to have a gut and the belief to put up their earring, get city, you are ahead of time.
I had earrings. I had dreadlocks.
I know. You have done it all. you have done it. You're a legend to the city. No doubt about it, my man. You're one of the legend, and I have great respect for you.
But again, talking about those things, Gari, a lot of people when we were growing up, they were sidelined. Like already given a red cross that these ones won't make it to a set. But now,
I wanted to share the difference between our platform in Botswana. You see, Botswana is still a fresh country, like if I may say so. When I came back, there were a lot of vacant in a lot of government offices, which means that people has to go to school, you see, and get profession and work in a certain office, because there were so many expatriates working the government offices a lot. So when the situation is like that, you cannot have too many people who are dynamics to think of entrepreneurship. You see, so the system which was created, it would create a lack of entrepreneurship in the country in terms of the vacuum which was in the government.
Even the system, won't you say even our parents, like even when it came to sports, when you played too much football, they would say,
But I wouldn't blame them because, you know, when you talk about a country like Ghana, it was a choke system. When I say choke system, is whereby you have so much graduate and student who cannot find position in the government offices. So everybody worked to become dependent on themselves. You see, to work for themselves and try to hustle, even when the person have a graduate certificate. But Botswana was not like that. Like I'm saying that if you talk about around 95, 96, if somebody have a good degree, a good proper education, obviously you apply for a job just quickly.
And because those were the times again we were influenced by international, you know, a lot of international influence.
Yes.
Even talk about you. Who influenced you the most? Be honest. Your favorite. Let's talk about.
It's Park. There's no doubt about it. Park influenced me all the time when I was young, man. My life pattern and Park life pattern, if I want to go real deep, is very identical. Yeah.
So I mean, we're looking at the times of East Coast and West Coast. They even drove. I remember we could have beef because I was in East Coast. I chose East Coast.
Yeah, I choose Biggie.
A lot of guys literally took that very, very personal. Very personal.
Yeah.
And back then, I remember I know by now it's a struggle. Right. Sure. There were a couple of gangs here and there. A lot of people don't know was spot these. 21 Jump Street, where you'd walk, and if these guys met you, they would take your shoes, they would take our caps.
They would deal with you.
When you saw them there, you would run.
They would deal with you.
And to this day and age, some of those leaders are leaders of industries now, and they have managed to transition from that hectic life to the responsible, leaders and family men, family women. Even I mean, right now, we have a lot of leaders in industries who are women, and that was not very, very common back then. So, from the influence you had from Park, how did you manage to keep afloat, to not being the gangster that people would think that you would try and emulate?
You see, like I said, that when you hear a story of a person, you don't hear the story of the person. You must also analyze the person and pick that which is positive and throw the things which are negative. So, me growing up and looking at Park, one thing I learned about Park is he transcends light, which is a star. His everything about him is that he wants everybody to win. He's loyal. He has integrity. So when I was growing up in the street of Gap City, there were so many lighties who go out there and they get bullied and they get scared. And they couldn't go out. So me seeing that, I felt like, no, if everybody wants to go out and have fun.
And I remember, Gary, that you know that there were times when we'd get in trouble and say we're at a club. Exactly. And I would run to you, that guy.
For sure.
And you wouldn't even think twice. You'd up and say, let's go and talk to that
Exactly.
guy.
Because I didn't like people to be bullied in the city. I stood out for those who were rich and people could not stand for themselves. So everybody became my younger brother.
One of the topics that we'll actually look into is bullying. We see a lot of bullying where our own children, you don't even know what's happening at school. How would you advise, first from the system, from teachers and other parents, even children who might be watching this, how would we manage to overcome those small aspects of bullying?
One thing that I teach my children at home, when they want to be soft, I try to take that away from them.
Soft how?
Soft like small thing, they'll be fighting for remote. The other one, the senior brother, say, no, I want to watch this one, I want to watch this one. I just take it away from them. And whoever tries, I tell no, you're being too weak. So kids, everything starts from you. If you want our kids, everything that they want to present to them, they want this, we give them. We don't refuse of the things that we have to deny them, knowing that it's not good for them. They always have that entitlement. And when they go out there, out of the house, the world is not like that. They are going to meet kids who come from different backgrounds. You see, so that's where the collusion comes in. You see, so when the kid cannot stand for himself from the house, he think that outside is the same like his house. So other kids who are raised different take advantage to realize, no, this kid.
But how come we didn't have that mindset? Because we knew you. I mean, times have changed, like you said. We used to get beaten, boss.
Yeah.
We used to get disciplined, and you understood that if I do this, it's going to result to this.
To this.
But now we use the power of words.
Yes.
You know, you talk to your child, they understand.
Yes.
But there are some there are some people I go in the store and I see them trying to discipline their children in front of people. And it really pisses me off. I get very angry.
Yeah.
But is that the right way to go about it, or?
No, you see, with kids, one of the things that we make biggest mistake as parents of today, we don't sit our kids down and we don't have conversation with them. It doesn't matter what age the child is, whether they are 3 years or 4 years or 5 years. You sit your child down, then you engage in conversation. Conversation is to build up their confidence.
Yeah.
A child gets bullied because they don't have confidence in themselves. Not that for them to go out there and fight with people or to be aggressive, but we have to let them know where they stand. They have to know what they can accept and what they can reject. They have a right to speak. If somebody bullied them at school, they have a right to contact the relevant person and make a complaint.
But they'll still be afraid. So don't you think in schools they must, I don't know if they do it, educate the students more on how to report bullies without being victimized and being bullied? Don't you think maybe there should be a little box somewhere where they write so and so needs, I don't know.
No, it's a very good idea, like what you're saying.
Yeah.
But remember what I told you, charity begins at home. So you as a parent, your child, I think you have an agenda.
Yeah.
You want the child to grow up the certain way that you want. Like I'm saying, you have to engage. When you need to interview your child. Even when the child goes to school, when he comes back, you should sit down with your child and get to know, because some of the child, they have fear of speaking out what is bothering them. But when a child knows that my mother and my father is concerned to know what bothers me at school, it builds up their character and their confidence. So even when they get bullied, when they come home, you ask them, how was your school today?
Yeah, a lot of parents.
Yeah, a lot of parents, the parents, we are too busy.
Yeah.
You know, so when we are too busy, we forget the small things that the child stand in need of. You understand?
Looking at where Botswana's going now, where do you think we are lacking when it comes to maybe support from maybe certain leadership, for example? Yeah.
First of all, I like to say that sometimes when you speak the true facts, people think that no, because of your foreigner.
And don't get us in trouble, guys.
No, because of your foreigner, maybe you are afraid to speak. That's why you are sublime.
And that is why I got you here, because
you are sublime with the government, or you are sublime with the country.
Yeah.
Botswana.
I like that, Botswana.
They are one of the blessed people in Africa.
Amen.
Blessed, I'm telling you.
Amen.
Their character, their being, and how they carry themselves. They are one of the wonderful
and very peaceful people. To add to that, because you look at what's happening in other countries.
Now coming to that, you must thank Botswana government.
Yeah.
I'm telling you. The only time, this is one of the countries that they are able to share the asset of the country, which the country generates, to help its citizens.
Yeah.
In terms of hospitality, school, hospitals, medication, a lot of things that you can mention about. I, for instance, went to school for free.
Yeah.
You understand? But I'm an expatriate, and I'm grateful for the government of Botswana. Now, what I would like to share, and speaking from my point of view, is that we must always be positive in mind thinking.
Yeah.
There's too much opportunity and privilege and blessings in this country. But if we become narrative and become set-minded and we think one way, then we're going to have a problem.
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you that there are some countries that if you can have opportunity to visit, there are some countries who does not have what is called government gazette.
Yeah.
For things to be gazetted for you to know what is available for you to tender. Some countries don't have that. Some people come to Botswana to realize that there's something called government gazette. Some countries don't have.
And to add to that,
I'm just giving just one example.
Yeah, with the question that I gave, I mean, I can see that there's something happening with what we haven't given focus to, that other countries are generating, a living out of, and even increasing the economy. I'll give you an example because we're here now, we're talking about TV and film.
Yeah.
A lot of countries are making ends meet.
Yeah.
With the dramas, the dramas that they have, the films that they have, the movies that they have. I don't know if we have a movie in Botswana that is a 1 hour 20 minutes. I'd love to see someone saying, I'm going to sponsor this. I mean, we'll be talking about issues that are happening, very previously.
Yeah.
Talking about film, talking about sports. Yeah. We've been complaining about sponsorship when it comes to some of our football leagues here. And FNB Botswana just did something crazy just recently.
Yeah, which is amazing.
How much is that?
54 million.
54 million.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
that's good.
And I think apart from just having a team like that, you'll get the CEO, the vision that he has.
Let me share a story with you. I used to play I was a very good footballer.
Yeah.
I'm telling you. The people went to school.
You can see from the legs.
The people went to school with me will tell you. I used to play for Flamingo Santos. It's the second division.
I thought you'd say you played basketball because it's a yo-yo sport.
On ground. And my coach was 16 Kosi. I was once registered for BFA. I played with my teammate from Dunga from BDF. And that time when we used to play football, I was supposed to be a professional footballer. But speaking of that time, when you are talking about around 96, 95, football was just like for fun.
Yeah.
And football were not getting paid. The only teams which could pay you was Police 11 and BDF. If you are expected, if you are playing football. And their salary that time, I'm talking about maybe 500 a month. So you can see that with time, things grow by itself. And Botswana, I like the gradually, it might be slow, but I like the gradually process. Botswana don't just run into things. But I know that people are tired of that long patience.
Yeah.
But with a country which is organized, don't forget that Botswana was never truly colonized like countries which fought with the blood and hands to gain independence. You understand? There was nothing ever developed by white men here. I want you to bear in mind.
Yeah.
Botswana was developed by its own forefathers. So they do things according to their pace. They don't run faster than they have strength. But everything that they do, when the time comes, is the right time. That's one thing that I said I appreciate about this country. They don't look at what other people are doing. They run things according to their pace. But if I know that.
No, I'm actually going to get to another point because, I'm telling you, when
people are hungry, when people are hungry, they want things to run faster.
No, I think, truth be told, guys, our country has its in other industries.
Yeah,
it has its own slowness.
Yeah,
that as much as we need things done at an accelerated pace.
Yeah,
I'll still focus on the TV and film industry.
Yeah,
I mean. We had a local TV station, concepted years and years back, but we still complain about how we are engaged as producers, as actors, where other countries are making a living out of that. It's been slow. Even sports.
Let me share with you what is the effect. When you have old people, I just want to be I'm being realistic with you. I'm being realistic with you. This thing that which is happening in Botswana is not something which hasn't happened to other countries.
Yeah.
You have somebody who's at the age of 85, 75 is still in the office.
Yeah.
I'm talking about in terms of Ghana.
Yeah.
Or Nigeria.
Yeah.
The old
I
man
like the way you're stepping away.
The old man doesn't want to go on retirement. He still want to be in the government office. Now, when that thing happens, it blocks the new generation with the new ideas, who are energetic, which is smart, which can see things to picture and roll. You see, so I've been in Botswana for over 30 years.
Yeah.
And I'm speaking from my experience, what I've observed. We still got a lot of older people who are still in the office. I'm giving, for example, for instance, like BTV.
Yeah.
BTV have the best equipment ever.
Yeah.
The best equipment ever. But now, the challenge is, for you coming from school, let me give somebody from Lincoln Queen, a young boy who has gone to television, too smart, too much idea, too fast. You want to create content, you want to make things to happen. Then you present to an old man who's coming from black and white television program. No, don't laugh.
It's the truth.
It's the real,
truth must be told.
It's the real fact.
Yeah.
You understand? Who's used to black and white television?
Yeah. And you might even find that they don't even have a social media platform
he's
to
not,
know what's
he's not
happening
interested.
outside.
He's thinking of this young boy is too fast. Where is he going?
He must slow down.
He must slow down. That's the challenge that every African country has to deal with. You understand? And that's one of the things that I love about President Masisi.
Yes.
I respect him so much.
Yes.
My hope is that Africa can have young presidents. If anybody is above 60, to me, they shouldn't take an office or 65.
They must enjoy the hard work.
They must sit down.
That they've done all these
They
years.
have done a lot.
Yeah,
you cannot be at the age of 65 to 70 and you're still going to be in the office. That's my problem with Africa. We've got young generations. If you want to create generational wealth, it has to start now. And the boy at the age of 22, 25 has to know how money works. That's what white people teach their kids. By the age of 18, they're expecting to leave the house and go and make things happen. They give their children chance. That's why you see the youngest France have a young president. It can be done in Africa. But we have our old people who still entitlement to our culture. You know, to
even
our government.
A person who's 35, you're told that you're young. You're a boy.
No, you're
35.
Not.
40.
No.
Come on, guys.
You're too old.
Yeah.
You're too old.
It's time to start.
So we have to, and life also is too short. The more older people stay in the office, the more the young generation are dying. So the graveyard, it is the robbing of Africa. And me, when I speak of these things, I become more emotional because I see that our young boys are getting destroyed. They are not being given privilege enough to run the country.
Talking about young boys, like I said, today's episode we're gonna touch here and there just to find out what exactly is that we need to do, as truth be told, to change mindsets, to change people's actions and how they actually conduct themselves. I can tell you, you can tell that we've been discussing, we haven't actually touched relationships on top of that. Talking about relationships, this day and age, you have younger men dating older women. Older women dating younger men. Younger men are at a position that their peers cannot tolerate them because now we're driven by guap. If Pharaoh, you can't buy certain labels, you can't do certain things, you are not good enough. As a 20, let me not even start at 21 years old. As a 25, 30-year-old, you're starting your career, you're starting to do what? And this person expects you to already be driving a Range Rover. But at the same time, the older men are focusing on meeting the demands of these younger women. How is it affecting the way things are run this day and age compared to our times when you'd be 20, you'd be dating a 20-year-old, you'd be at varsity, you'd be dating your classmate, and you're trying to build a relationship together.
Morality is very important. When the society is not governed by certain principles, it get out of hand. And what I'm saying is like, for instance, it is sad to see what is happening of today, like what you are saying. To me, a man need to know why it's called a man. Any man who dated a woman above his age, or he dated a woman because of money, to me, you have sold your identity, who you are as a man. The reason I'm saying that, let's go back to our root. I always say that, even though we are living in the modern days, but we shouldn't forget where we come from. A man in our forefathers' time or our grandfathers' time is a man who provide. It has always been the case. You understand? Now the problem is when you have a society whereby a man is not raised by a man, it changes the dynamics.
And just before you go on, I'd like to give appreciation to VS Cufflinks for doing as much as he can to literally uplift the boy child, and he's trying his best.
I really respect what he's doing.
No, VS is doing a lot, and not only him, but there's a number of people that we can talk about off the top of my head. But he's taking it personal, and he's helping a lot of men and even women understand how a boy child needs to be nurtured for him to be a better man.
Exactly. One of the things that we need to understand is that You cannot gain a respect of a woman who look after you as a man. It can never happen.
Ish, my man. Or gain the respect of a woman you're even beating. I literally, truth be told,
It can happen.
I do not consider a man who raises his hand to a woman. Brayaga, Otiaga, whoever you are, just a team, relax.
Going back, when I was in school, there was a lady called Priscilla, a young lady. When you were talking about Maspoti's time, we went for stadium. We were doing sports. Then there was one boy called Basha. He came with his crew. Then they attacked that girl, Priscilla. Wherever she is, she will still remember when we were from Maseropula. So there were about 10 guys. Me being fearless and I don't fear these Maspotis. I took my school belt. Then I whipped them. I whipped them hard in the stadium. They were running. This Maspotis, the same guy you're talking about. People were there, they will stab you those times. They can't. This one come and hit him left, right. This one can hit him right. I move all of them. Then the school, they go like, this guy is a problem.
No, Kari, you were a problem.
Then they
disappear.
You were
a problem.
Because I hate a man who touches women.
Yeah, that's degrading.
Whatever circumstances it is, you should never lay your hands on a woman.
And I think
never.
I think
that's why I'm saying that emotional intelligence is very important. You must always stay calm as a man because women, they know how to nag you. You know, they fight a lot with voice.
And again, where we go back to what VS is trying to emulate is, you know, you don't know an upbringing of a person as a woman. And I'm not saying, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying there's any compromising. I'm trying to save you as a woman from getting the abuse that you've been getting. There's many levels of abuse. Some women are very humble and they don't even know how to get out of it. And you get those who say, you know what, I'm who I am, and they will use a certain language. I've heard a woman literally tell their partner of their sexual capability in front of people, and everyone was like, yo. And I could see this guy's face change. That. So this is what you've been thinking of me, and the only way he wants to prove or think he's getting his partner into line is by using his masculinity and his you know, that if you think you're like this, I believe you when it comes to that. But those are some of the topics that I'm saying we will be going through just to try and do our part as truth be told and get our country to be a better place and get anyone else out there who's watching to be the best version of themselves. And moving forward, my king, how would you say BW, that I mean, some of these topics are very sensitive, but they are real. It's reality. It's our year of elections. The youth is not engaging themselves enough. Why do you think that is?
You see, for instance, it's not only Botswana. Our youth in Africa do not know what they want. They just want things to be done for them. It is a sad story. When you are a young man and you do not know that you will play a very important role to determine the country's future, and you just sit there and say, it's automatic. It is what it is. It's automatic. This one will win. It is automatic. Nothing will change.
And you forget that your voice is very important.
But you are the one who's causing the problem of not making things change. So we have to be involved, whether it's BDP, UDC, or whatever party it is. We have to play a role and cast our vote to support. Your right counts a lot. It makes difference. So our young youth, even mainly to wake up in the morning and go and join the line to cast his vote.
Some didn't.
Some didn't. Let's give, for instance, let's say that maybe you are voting on Sunday. The guy goes and party on Saturday. He
can wake up and
get so drunk and he can't go out and cast his vote. By tomorrow, he's complaining and saying that no, this government is corrupt, or this one is this, or this one is this. But you did not voice your voice out. So who do you expect to make a change?
Who are you blaming now?
We must stand as a society to fight for our identity and our rights. And it comes by voting. Everybody get it to be involved. You have to identify yourself with which party. It's very important. Every young man must get involved.
Well, at this point in time, Karikari, as much as you're right, I believe, looking at over the years, I really believe that you should look at and listen to an individual.
Yeah.
And looking at how the times have changed,
Yeah.
you don't need to wait to get to the Freedom Square to hear what a person has. I mean, there's social media platforms that, one leader can engage with their followers and their community, because for them to go forward, they are sent.
Yeah.
They are sent, and they need to know what is needed.
Yeah.
So looking at your phone right now,
Yeah.
there's a problem happening maybe where you stay.
Yeah.
I mean, you go through some places where you get a pothole, it's there since 1907 and you ask yourself, how does this person not know that this problem is there?
Is there.
So I think we just need to keep up with the times and really demand that those that we want to engage tell us and engage us.
African politics is very dynamic. And the reason I'm saying that is dynamic is because it's about who robs your bank and rob my bank. You understand what I'm saying? In Europe, I stay in UK.
Okay.
Patriotism of a nation matters than the president or the society who's in charge. That's where the problem is. In African politics, if you are chosen to position, or when you are chosen to certain position, even when that person is doing wrong thing, we still back them up to our leaders. We don't speak the fact and don't point out and say, no, my man, this one or two things, we need to have integrity.
Yeah.
And we need to be patriotic of our nation. So it doesn't mean that if I put you in a certain position, you favors me.
Yeah.
In Europe, it's not like that. Europe, when the person, that's why, somebody, when they do something wrong, they can say, no, I've resigned. He knows that he has let the nation down and they resign. But in Africa, some of our leaders, when they do something wrong, they don't want to resign. They still hold power. And the society itself also back them up.
They don't even say anything. Yeah.
They don't even say anything because why? They're getting their cut of the share of what they want. And that's why I'm saying that it is a norm which goes all over Africa. I always use my country for example. I will not talk about Botswana.
No, for instance, that's why I called you here, because I just didn't want to have a point of view of Botswana.
Yeah,
we are representing.
Ghana, they got what is called MPP and NDC. Me coming from staying in Botswana and looking from the outside, I can see which party is supposed to take over and run the country. But I can see also at the same time the citizens are backing certain party which is not legit. Because why? He has money to manipulate those who want to keep them in power. You understand? So Africans don't vote because they don't vote to cast their voice, to say that my voice can. They vote to eat. This is what I'm trying to say. That's what the challenge is in Africa.
Man. Yeah.
And if it's like that, nothing will ever change. Because why? Because we are not taking the country or our nation or as an African continent to different dynamics. Because we want to get used to the same thing. And it's a system like in terms of manipulative. You keep on
but talking about that, because that's a completely different subject on its own on another day. I mean, right now there's so much that can be done to especially when you talk about keeping the youth off the streets.
Yeah.
There's so much that can be done. Off the top of your head, 2 or 3 ideas. What do you think that could be good?
Let me tell you something. And that's one thing that's the reason I love hip hop. Hip hop culture alone can change the dynamics of Botswana. For instance, I started the clothing business a long time ago in 1986. I'm one of the first guy into hip hop clothing. I was the first guy to put scar on the Air Force One.
Big up, basically.
I dressed the whole Eric Lanko, Ted Mine, UDC, Ghetto Flavor, a lot of Ghetto. All these guys, you can mention them.
Yeah.
From way back, Wizards of the Desert, that time. I've been in the industry of clothing for a long time.
Hey, you're mentioning
There's
names,
nobody
man.
who has...
There's
nobody who has ever been here that I've never dressed.
Yeah, except me.
When V was... I dress you. When V was shooting Cassie, it takes stuff you don't pay by memo. But that's the whole nation. I bring the whole closet of clothes.
Wow.
Then I dress the whole crew when we were shooting the video by Eric Ranko. So I know this artist. I dress Cars, Kirst, address this guy, what is it called? The guy from Oracle.
Yeah,
Oracle was my brand ambassador. I've addressed a whole lot of kids that I cannot even mention. I don't know who I've never addressed.
Wow.
From 96 to 2010 to 2012, 2015.
So this was you empowering yourself. This goes back to when I said at times it's not about the lack of employment, but how one empowers themselves. Instead of saying, I even say this when I try and start something new, I'm always driven by the lack of how I don't have funds.
Yes.
But how does one get around wanting to start supporting and building themselves with the little that they have, or even nothing?
The greatest thing is not about the money, it's by the concept and idea in business. Like I say, that big up to BK Proctor.
Yeah.
I started a fashion long time ago. I used to dress BK Proctor in the whole of his school.
Yeah.
Basement Records. But he sit there as a young man, very well educated, very smart, very humble. He goes there and says, no, I'm going to get into the clothing line. And he's the only guy who have done it properly. Because if you study the fashion, the reason I never had a brand, like a clothing brand, because it goes a whole lot of stage to build it to be where it is. It's not about kind of people they say they have a brand. I look at them and I laugh. It's not about taking t-shirt and put a name and just start selling in the street.
Yeah.
Anybody can do that. That's not a brand. You see, when you look at things like Nike got commercials. Why do you think that Nike can be able to pay Lionel Messi a lot of millions? Because they make brands and they have what is called distribution. The outlet to stores. Not everywhere Nike put a store. So they create a whole lot of industry and they supply in volumes. So what BK Proctor is doing is what he's doing. He creates BK Proctor brand, but I told him, BK, if you want to stay in this game, it's not about you running your shops. It's about having distribution. Partner with a shop like JB Sports and release yourself from stress of being everywhere. Because when people get used to your stuff, they will drop you. But that's the experience that I told you.
But at the same time, one thing that again, I will personally say, and other Botswana will say that out there is, I don't know if it happens everywhere or it's an illness that we have as BWNs.
Yeah.
That's a word I came up with, BWNs.
Yeah. Yeah.
BWNs. Yeah. We have a problem with supporting each other.
Let me tell you, our society is too small. And when you have a society which is too small, when people see your progress, they want to pull out. That's where the problem is. So the landscape, Gap City is very small. So whatever you do, when you want to come up, everybody think that no, it is by them that you are getting where you are, which is a jealous factor. And that's one thing that I've said, that loyalty is very important in our identity. I wish that the government can able to put. You see, during our time, when people drop out from 5 and they don't do further education, it's like their life is ended. But there was no tertiary institutions were there, and they were not getting like funding to get it tertiary of today. Today they can. But when you talk about around 2000, you talk about 98, 97, 99, people who finish from 5, where their parents could not sponsor, they will end up on the street.
Yeah.
Now, if you create a brand, you understand, we need to have something that we need to create for ourselves. It's not everybody. You don't go to school to become rich. You go to school to acquire knowledge. To become rich comes from your self-belief and your self-determination. Don't let anybody lie to you.
On that
one, bigger than that.
On that one, you've been in Botswana for a long time.
Yeah.
You've seen the good and the bad.
Yeah.
You've seen the great and the greatest.
Yeah.
Who do you think is literally putting their effort into building our country? I'm not talking about government. I'm talking about individuals now. When you say, you know what, this person is on the right track because they're doing ABC. This person is doing. Who comes to mind? Just
there are so many of them.
Yeah.
There are so many of them. I'll give, for instance, like Naja Amos.
Yeah.
That is one person that I always look up to him, and I see him growing Botswana as a brand, as individually. Then you go to Amantli once when he was running. So when our government also invests into athletes or into entrepreneurship, we're able to go across as individually to build a brand. Big up to Morph also as Ebenso.
Yeah,
he has been in the clothing business for a long time. He has also managed to build a brand, reach everywhere in the world. You know, when you wear Ebenso t-shirt and you travel to Europe or anywhere, it gives you a direct identity of building Botswana into map.
If you had a way, Karigari, what's the one thing that you change about Botswana? Just anything. You change the weather. If you had the capability of doing that, is it just stop being hot? Let it be cloudy every day. What would you do?
I think I'll build people confident of being themselves. They need to have self-believing, and to me, I think that's the challenge of this country. You know, people don't have. You know, let me share something. When the Botswana fail at school, we are too much orientated by education, and that's how I see the challenges. The person wake up and he doesn't have clue. You know, I saw one guy today. He's selling a burger on the roadside. So I'm looking at this guy. He's selling burger. He sold only 5 burgers. But in my mind, I'm thinking, this guy, why is he selling burger when he can just go to a shop and strike a deal with the shop to say that, guys,
I have this.
Just make me an agent of one of your products. Just give me this gadget or maybe the earphones or strike a deal with maybe game or something. So that let me go to the street and the offices, private or government offices, just to market this thing, make a markup.
Wow.
I'm just giving the entrepreneurship. So the idea of self-confidence, self-believing, and self-awareness is what our people are struggling with.
Wow.
Because they base their idea on what they've been taught at school. They've been too programmed.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's the reason why we had to have such a great being on the couch for the first time. This is the first episode of Truth Be Told. And I know we've learned a lot. And Karikari, where do we find Karikari now? From all the businesses we've been through, what are you doing today? How do we support? Because I believe this is the start of a new era. We are going to support all our hustles from the word go until.
Let me share something with you. All the business that I did, I just did to build up Botswana people, just to give away. You know, money is not always the factor. You must let people see your identity and who you are. I believe in star. You have to be able to influence people for good. So when I started the clothing business and I see today young entrepreneurs coming in opening shop, I was the first person to travel to China in 2006, go to Vietnam, Cambodia, London.
You've been to all those places?
I was flying all those places, getting stock and bringing them. So today when I sit back and I see young guys are coming in, you know, I'm so happy and I say, wow, at least they have catch up the fire. I'm a veteran, I can lex a bit now. You see, so I like that. So what I'm simply trying to say is like, today, we need to pass on the torch. We need to teach the young ones. We need to govern them. We shouldn't keep the ideas. We shouldn't hide them. We shouldn't deny them. When a young boy comes to you and asks for it, they open up and let them not have a difficult time like our time.
Yeah, we have.
So that's what I've been doing. I've been inspiring. You know, a girl who ran the Trueville, you know, Naledi.
Yes.
When she started, she comes to me. She says, "GUNZ, I want to get into clothing business." Then I sat her down. Then I break down into her, and I told her, you know what? As much as you travel, there's what is called voyager. The more you travel with the airlines, the more you become a member, the more you get tickets for free, the more you get clothes for free. She was been traveling for a long time. She was never aware of those things. You see, so we need to share the ideas. If you do something and you fail, you shouldn't say that because of I fail, somebody doesn't have a right to start that idea. Maybe that person will do better than me. And I can tell you, I've been in the clothing business for a long time, but I can tell the other guys who have done it better than me. And that's how it's supposed to be. You're not supposed to deny people who want to copy and learn from you.
Wow.
That's what we have been doing. We've been denying our people of something that we have failed to do.
I hope this is going to change a lot of mindsets. Yeah. First episode went amazing. You're an amazing person, amazing soul, and I've always knew that. As my brother, you've always inspired me. You've always kept me on top. Every time we've met, it's all about smiles and laughing. I see you every morning when I drop the kids to school, jogging along the road. I wish I could join you, but yeah, man. Any last words that you'd love to give to the viewers out there as we close the first episode of Truth Be Told?
Yeah. You know that as the title says, truth to be told. I want all the audience to be true to themselves. You know, life, you are born as an individual and you have to be able to identify yourself, to be true to yourself. When you're true to yourself, the society becomes true to you. So I'm very grateful and thankful for this privilege for me to have such a wonderful socializing talks, talk about all kinds of things being true in Gap City. And growing up and thanking God for us to still be alive.
Amen. And
we have lost a couple of our
and
brothers.
Only a few people would understand when I say for saving us at the last hour after trying to do what we've wanted to do, but it's been a challenge. But
thank you very much.
You know, I don't want to lie to you. I want to say thank you to Seats Steakhouse. They've hosted us. This is where we're going to be. Come through. They have a beautiful menu. Beautiful cuisine. We'll tell you more about that next time. Not forgetting Brian Mpahlela, who's one of our partners who also brought this together. Thank you so much, Tabang. Thank you so much, Lame from Timeline Creations. If it wasn't for these entities, we wouldn't have this. And Nakili Gugumavoma, I'd just like to say thank you to God for putting this together. To all the viewers for joining us for the next episode, my family, friends, and especially my number one fan, my wife. Ladies and gentlemen, until we meet again, from you, from me, and Garigari, and the crew, and everyone else.
Big up.
GUNZ.
Thank you.
Until we meet again, everyone.
Nice
Thank you so much.
Thanks. We're out.